Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I am your host, June Archer, and you are now inside the winner's circle. My guest today, no stranger. We spoke and had a really great interview last year when she was on tour with some new music and she was in our hometown. And now she's back again with a new single to talk about. Please welcome Miss Jessica Lynn. Jessica, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh man, it is so good to see you. How have you
Same.
been coming off of that roller coaster of a year for 2023? It was so good to you. How did you enjoy it?
Thanks. Oh my gosh, it was. And you're right. I forgot. I was talking to you in Lubeck, Germany
Yes.
in
Yes,
July.
yes, yes.
And you were one of my favorite interviews of the year, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I
Thank
was
you so much.
excited to see you again. Your energy is just so positive and nice to
I
be around.
appreciate I appreciate you. I
Um,
appreciate you.
But it was a great year. It was really a whirlwind. I mean, we went on the road in May and we came back December 18th, basically, we finished. So it was a lot, but it was wonderful. We were all over Europe. We did the UK. We did all over the US. Then I did a huge Christmas tour. And then I'm almost done recovering, but then in January I had a major sinus surgery. So the year started like very quiet, and now I'm starting to get back into things. So it's exciting to be singing again and doing all that stuff.
I'm certain the break was a well-needed break, so I'm glad that you're on your road to recovery, and we're going to be wishing you well. Uh,
Thanks.
Jessica, you've had the opportunity to perform with so many country music superstars: Keith Urban, Brad Paisley, Richard Marx. Who else are you looking forward to performing with in 2024?
Oh my gosh. Well, if I had a bucket list, this year so far is all headlining dates. So we don't have any opening slots. Actually, we were going to have one. I'm really good friends with the Allman Betts Band. So it's all the sons of the original Allman Brothers. We were
Nice.
trying to get together a date for Montauk, New York, but our dates didn't line up. So hopefully we could do that in the future. But they're an amazing band. Anyone listening, if you check them out. But this year it's just all headlining stuff. We have stuff in Europe. I can't talk about it yet, which is really frustrating, but I have some awesome stuff coming up with the military, which I'm really excited about. So lots of new stuff, but this year is definitely going to be lighter on the road and more focusing on releasing music. It's touring so much, it's hard to be in the studio and to be kind of putting that hat on. So I'm still going to be a lot of tour dates, but we're kind of taking a different approach to 2024.
And that's kind of like the gift and the curse, right? You're independent and you built your career on your own, brick by brick. How has this journey been for you?
Not easy.
No, I'm
Really not
certain it's
easy.
not.
Um, any career, building any business from scratch is difficult. But especially the arts or like trying to play professional sports or, be a professional musician, it's hard. And the businesses are so dirty and there's so much competition. And, I think you just always have to be yourself. And that's something that I think has really catapulted me to where I am is I always stayed true to the music I wanted to make, to the artist I wanted to be. I never made decisions that led me to a quick buck or a quick deal. I said no to a lot of things that were really, really difficult to say no to, but I knew in my heart that wasn't the right path for me. Um, and I think that's what has led me here and has led to my success, really.
And you've put that work in to the point where we're talking over 1 million people on social media, fans engaged in your career. How do you like interacting with your fans and those who follow your career on social media?
That's my favorite thing. Everybody yells at me, they're like, "How do you not have a social media manager?" Because it's so much. It's a full-time job just managing social media pages. But for me, that's the fuel. That's what keeps me going after a show. I want to look at those messages and read the beautiful things coming in about how much people had how much fun they had, or this song meant so much to me. You know, you lose sight of that stuff when you're not like in the trenches, I like to say.
Yeah.
So I do. I run all my own social media. It's so important to me to interact with my friends. Really, I call them. I kind of hate the word fans because it kind of puts a barrier between you,
Yeah.
which I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm where I am because of all these wonderful people that have supported me and stood behind me, and it's I want to be there with them.
Do you have a nickname for these fans? Like you have the Beehives, and you have, of course, Taylor Swift has her Swifties. Is there a name that Jessica Lynn has for her village of people?
No, but I should. Now I really, we got to think about this. If you have any ideas, please let me know.
All right, yeah, we'll come up with something. Come up with
Please.
something really cool.
We do have actually, though, the Wednesday crew, they're called, because during the pandemic, how I continued to do music was I live streamed every Wednesday. And those grew a very loyal worldwide following. So I would do the ones on Facebook that were free. You know, I'd kind of it would be very chaotic. There would be sometimes like 100,000 people in there, and I would take all requests and things like that. And for me, it made me a better singer, a better player. Like you could literally just shout out in the comment box, "Try Queen, Somebody to Love," and I'd have to try it, or "Try Beyonce," and I'd
Wow.
have to try it on the spot. So that was kind of my exercising, throughout the whole pandemic. But then I also did a private one where it was a ticketed event. That's kind of what kept me releasing music and things like that over those 2 years. And those people were like the real hardcore fans, the ones that would buy a ticket and come and sit there. And I would do an hour and a half show every week, and it was much more interactive because I no longer had 100,000 people shouting stuff, but it was like I could interact with every single one of you because there'd be about like 50 to 60 people a week.
Okay.
And they became known as the Wednesday crew because every single Wednesday they were there. And what's even cooler is that in that group, there are people from Brazil, Denmark, Scotland, England, Ireland, all over the USA. They all have become really good friends through that experience and through my music. And they actually all traveled together this December to see my Christmas show in Peekskill. All of
Wow.
them from all over the world came together, and it was just such a cool experience.
Well, that speaks to your artistry, which a lot of artists neglect to develop and cultivate. So I applaud you for that. A lot of people don't know that you're a huge fan of the Latina legend, Selena. What do you love most about her and her music?
I am. I grew up wearing out her CDs. I mean, I think I connected with her very much so with that her story. I would watch that movie over and over again, the one with Jennifer Lopez in it, because it was her family that helped her build this career, and they started from nothing. And then that's my story. My
Right.
family is my band, and so much of that story resonates with me, and things that I've experienced myself and been through. So I connected with her very deeply on a personal level because of her backstory and her family. And she's an artist I've always looked up to because she was so likable. Although she was so beautiful and so talented and had all this going for her, she always seemed so humble and kind and caring to everybody around her. And she radiated this positivity on stage. Like when I watch her, I can't help but smile. And when I was a kid, even in recent years, I would study her live videos, because she just exuded this confidence yet humbleness at the same time. And I mean, aside from just having an absolutely incredible voice. So yes, and I've been her for Halloween. I mean, I'm a huge Selena fan.
Did you get any Wednesday requests for doing any Selena records?
I did. I
Okay.
did
Okay.
many. Bitty Bitty Bomb Bomb I've gotten. Como La Flor I've done many times.
That is a beautiful thing. I want to ask now, as we talk about Selena and we move into your new single, Shame. Um, Tell us what that's about, but it's also a bilingual song, English and Spanish. I want to know how you even were inspired to do that, but let's talk about what Shame is about and what inspired you to write this song.
So Shame is a sassy song. It has a lot of fire behind it. And it's basically talking about how it's a shame you broke my heart, but it's an even bigger shame that I don't want you back now. So I think everybody can relate to that story at one point and another. And it's a co-written song with an amazing songwriter in England. Her name is Rachel Walker Mason, and she is incredibly, incredibly talented. And we were doing a writing session, and she was like, I came up with this little line. It's a shame, baby, a shame, shame, shame. I thought of you. And at the minute she said it, it just started flowing out. I mean, we wrote this song in probably 45 minutes or less, and
Wow.
it was so Latin. And I'm just like, you know what? That's how it came out. I, we're not, we're just going to roll with it. And I think that's kind of the artist I've always been, where I never write to a formula. I think a lot of this business is this is the box, let's stay in it, let's go for that number one record, or the last five songs on country radio were at this tempo and sound like this. So let's try to chase that. I've just never been like that. And I just like music. I like all genres of music. I never I used to a long time ago in my career, I used to be like, oh, that's too rock and roll, or oh, that's too pop. I can't do that, or that's not country enough. Now it's kind of like it's a good song. I like it. Let's roll with it.
Well, let me ask you this, because there's been some controversy over Beyonce doing country music, and you seem to like genre flipping and genre switching. Do you think that that helps or hinders those in that particular category?
I hate when people get so bent out of shape. Music is music and art is art. And I've always been a big I mean, Destiny's Child growing up was one of my top. Again, here I am in the other genres. I mean, I listened to everything. And she was one of my biggest influences growing up. She's an amazing singer, an amazing performer. She's built an empire around her. Like, I have a lot of respect for Beyonce. And I think it's amazing that she feels country in her heart and soul and wants to try it. Like, why should anybody be told they can't make art? I think that's so silly.
Is there a artist that you would love to do a song with, uh, that is probably like uncharacteristic of what you would normally do?
Yes, there's immediately one that comes to mind. So one of my biggest songwriting influences, again, we're going in a totally different direction, was Neil Diamond when I was a kid.
Wow. That's
There
a
was
legend.
he
That's a
is
legend.
he is a legend, and something that always drew me to him was how pure his songwriting was. He was another one I really studied growing up, and something I particularly studied about him was the way he delivered his lyrics. Um, he sings every single word with such intent. Like he says the word the, and his voice is cracking, and it has so much character to it, which I think a lot of artists lose these days. So I would love. I mean, I've gone down the bucket list so far of playing with a lot of people that I idolized and looked up to, but he's definitely one that I would like absolutely love to do something with.
You love your fans. You love being on the road. You're going to take a little time off the road to do some more studio work. But what is the one thing that you really love about touring? Or I should say, what you loved about touring in 2024 and
Um,
2023?
the connection, for sure. I think it's until you're out there doing it, you don't you don't really see how much music connects people. From around the world, people that don't speak the same language are singing the lyrics to my songs and hugging me after the show like they know me. They do know me because they know my stories and they know my heart and soul and what I share with everybody. And I think to get to experience that is such a special connection. Like the way music can just bring people together from all over is so, so special. It really, really is. There's nothing else like it.
Now, where did you get your musical influence from originally? Because you mentioned earlier that you have the privilege and the honor to be on the road with your family. Your family is your band. Who in your family introduced you to music? Was it something you grew up listening to, was playing on the weekends? And, you know, who introduced you to this thing that you fell in love with?
My both of my parents. My dad, he was a New York City cop. He's retired now, but he was a rock and roller when he was younger, and then he turned into composing classical music. Again, and kind of out of nowhere. And my mom was always a wedding singer and a songwriter. So I grew up with music just constantly on in my household and all genres. I mean, really, like my mom loved like Celine Dion, Gloria Estefan was on all the time in the house, whereas my dad loved the Beach Boys and Richard Marx and Journey. So there was always this. My mom's a big soul fan, so every car ride we had Al Green on and Aretha Franklin and all of these other things that I love that really kind of get combined into my music. So I mean, I honestly don't have any memories that don't involve music. From as young as I can remember, there was music on, they were singing, they were playing, and then I just kind of naturally followed that path.
Well, I'm going to stump you or try to stump you. Music is a soundtrack to our lives, Jessica Lynn. You know it well, you live it, you provide the soundtrack to many of the lives that you touch with your music and on the road. My question to you is, what song, whether it's yours or another artist, best represents your journey up to this point? Or is there an artist that has a catalog that best represents your journey? And
Oh,
if it is, who is that artist?
wow, that's a really hard question. Ooh, okay, so not trying to take the easy way out, but I'm gonna
Okay.
pick one of my songs.
Okay. Okay.
Um, because I put a song on my it's okay, so I released, even though I've been touring for close to 10 years now, I released my debut record in 2021. Um, that's because I built my career being on the road. I was never home enough to do it and out. We'd always just release singles, and it's very hard for an independent artist to put out a record. A lot of money gets invested, time, and you're competing with big, big names. So with no money behind, I had nothing from the pandemic. I mean, literally, I was like in debt. I didn't have any money. I waited 2 years trying to save and get ready for to release this record that I'd written during the pandemic. I had a PR company steal every penny that I saved for the record. That was not honest about their capabilities, and this will all kind of play a part. So instead of being excited for release day, I was devastated, and I said, "I'm
Mhm.
just this is 2 years of my hard work, but I'm just going to let it quietly come out." And that's it. Like I was very depressed. And on release day, it went number one in multiple countries.
Wow.
And the reason that's so significant is because the record is called Lone Rider, which is one of the songs on the record. And it wasn't like one of the hits, that got released as a single or anything that had a music video or anything like that. But I wrote that song about paving your own path. Like sometimes you just need to be a lone rider and like do your thing, even if you're alone, you have to push forward, and there are people that will try to take advantage of you, and you have to always keep going. um, it's what the first line of the chorus is: everybody loves you when they're reaching with an open hand. And that's something I've really experienced a lot in my career. How many best friends I have when I'm opening for ZZ Top versus when I really needed somebody, when everything got taken away from me with the pandemic. So that song is really, really encompasses, I think, my journey as an artist, always paving my own path, always having to do things by myself. When a agent wouldn't take me on as a client because I was a new artist, all right, I'm going to book my own shows type of thing, just
Right.
so that song is really special to me, and I think it kind of puts everything in a nutshell.
Well, Jessica, you might have been a lone rider, but you are now out front making your magic happen. I'm super
Thank you.
proud of you. What's next for you? I know you said a little bit of touring, some more recording. But what's next? What can we look out for? New single. Shame is going to be out doing his thing. What are we preparing for?
So lots of new music. I've been writing like crazy as I recover from my surgery. I dealt with chronic sinus issues for years. Although, especially this past year, I was so happy and smiley on stage and I was having the time of my life. I was in a lot of pain. Um, and it- my sinuses just were not functioning properly. So I needed to do the surgery for many years, but I was really scared. So I decided, enough was enough. I have to just do it. So I haven't been singing out yet, but I've been getting my voice back as I'm writing a lot at home. And it's kind of been nice to do that without all the outside distractions of like having live shows coming up or so we're not supposed to hit the road until June and basically go to December. They're just going to be shorter trips than we're used to. My past has kind of been like, go out for 3 months and don't come home. Now it's going to be like a week here, come back. So I structured this year differently, which I'm excited about because it does give me more time to record all of these songs and get them out, do some music videos, do some other stuff. And I mean, that's really it. A lot of new music, a lot of recording, and a lot of new places that we'll be visiting and traveling to.
Where can we like you? What can we follow so that we could be in support of everything Jessica Lynn for 2024?
So my website is jessicalynnmusic.org, and on there links to Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, TikTok, and those are all Jessica Lynn Music, all those platforms. And of course, you can hear the new song on Spotify and iTunes, Apple Music, all that stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Jessica Lynn. New record out, Shame. Please like what she's doing, support what she's doing. When she's in a city near you coming this June, make sure you find yourself somewhere in that venue. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Jessica, appreciate you. Thank you again for saving some time to interview with me on the show. We appreciate you. We love you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Jessica Lynn. I am your host, June Archer. This is the Winner Circle. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.